I'm Violet, and I never thought I'd be making this video.
I'm Ivy, and I just paid $5 to watch 30 minutes of After.
It was almost 40.
TV,
Yes.
easy commentary. Still way overpriced.
Yeah, so we gave in. We've seen the commentaries. We vaguely know of it, and we decided to watch After. Well, not the whole thing, some of After.
Until we were so skeeved out that we had to stop, and we really only made it about 35 minutes. But the plan is to treat this sort of like a first and last situation. So we watched part of the first After movie. After we dissect what we saw, give some predictions, etc., we're gonna watch the last, I don't know, 30-ish minutes of After Ever Happy. Is that the name of the fourth one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we'll have that nice little sandwich and we'll see, are our predictions accurate? Did we miss out on anything in the second and third movies? I'm going to go ahead and say no. That's my prediction, but we'll see. I'm so curious about what's going to happen to this sentient cardboard cutout of a man, at least based on the first 30 minutes that we just watched. Emoting was not there was no emoting. There was
Oh
nothing.
my God.
Flat. It's so flat. I didn't even know. You don't even look good while you're singing. The worst thing I've ever heard.
Selma Blair emoted the most in the first 20 minutes.
Flashlight.
Mom, it's college. It's not a survival course.
Towels. Battery charger. Phone charger.
I can always.
She was putting in like 30%.
Mm-hmm.
None of it makes sense. That's the other part. It could be bad, but like, it just doesn't add up.
We really weren't given, and listen, no shade to people who want to write fanfic. That's awesome. That's a great hobby. That's a great, hey, people are getting paid for it. So it's not even a hobby. It's an actual career for some people. Awesome. However, I do wonder if we are putting too high of an expectation on a Wattpad film.
No. No. I don't understand why it was so boring. I thought it would be like laughably bad, but it was just like 30 seconds of watching someone walk somewhere, 20 seconds of watching someone sit down. Like, there's just
Don't forget about the brooding. There was a lot of brooding.
You know what? It's an insult to the good brooding actors to call this brooding.
Do you think like the ghost of James Dean is like, why did you do this?
I think David Boreanaz of Angel is like, come on, I put in years of good brooding. For this, no.
To sully the good name of brooders everywhere.
Yeah. I've watched years of Vampire Diaries. That is brooding. That is some brooding. This is like a whisper of a brood.
Now that sounds like maybe an indie album name or something. A Whisper of a Brood.
Oh, maybe that's a subtitle to After the horror film. Whisper of the Brood. Ooh.
That does sound scary, legitimately.
Right? Look,
I'd watch it.
I'm cutting this and then we're going to submit the trailer and see if we can get people to fund a movie.
It can't be that hard because look at what we just watched. That had funding.
Okay, real talk. Like, I feel like normally if we were watching a movie from the beginning, we'd be like, here's what happened, then this happened. But like, Tessa transferred maybe to college mid-year, and that's a lot of guesswork to even get there.
Yeah, I was gonna build on that, but I'm like, how do I build on that? Because there's nothing to build on. The foundation of this movie is built on toothpicks. Like it's
well, like, right, because you're like, wait, these people aren't freshmen. Tessa is a freshman, but like nobody she's around is a freshman.
Full disclosure, I was pretty bummed to be paired with a freshman, but I thought, hello, bright side, I'm gonna be your spirit guide.
We can get you into all the best places even without a fake. No problem.
I'm concerned that nobody is getting their $45,000 worth for the semester or for the year.
So yeah, already you're trying to go in with like suspension of disbelief and you're like, but how did you get here?
We already have too many
Why are
questions in
you
the first
here?
like
Do you
5
want
minutes.
to be here? Do you not want to be here? And then you're like, why are you dressed like a Mormon? You're definitely not a Mormon, as far as we
Ooh.
know.
This is a good transition to talk about the religious symbolism and religious undertones of this movie, because I swear to God, maybe I've just been traumatized by the twilight of it all, but I swear it felt like this movie was sending like fundy Mormon vibes, because the way that they signaled that her roommate and the college dorm in general is a quote unquote dangerous place and they're the bad kids is, let's see, ripped jeans, vaping, loud
Candles.
music,
Candles.
cleavage,
Yeah.
cleavage and candles. Yep.
I mean, two
We
girls
should
sitting
open a
on a
store.
bed is just not okay.
We should open a store called Cleavage and Candles, by the way, but that's an
I
idea for a
love
different day.
that.
We are just an idea factory today. It's all happening. But yeah, so I do wonder what the religious affiliation is of the original Wattpad author / the people who made the movie.
Right, because like, sure, some people listen to the dialogue. We were tracking things like her skirt just got a lot shorter scene to scene. Is that like a sexual awakening that we were supposed to get the implication for? Again, we're doing a lot of work for this movie.
We're doing so much legwork. We're reading into things that absolutely were not given a second thought. Like, we need to talk about the necklaces, but as an aside,
what's
the
going
necklaces
on
probably
with the necklaces?
they probably don't actually mean anything, and the movie was just sponsored by fucking
it's a
Claire's
whole
Accessories.
secret language via the necklaces and after. Is anybody
Okay,
else tracking this?
Talk to me about the necklaces. What's the first one we need to discuss?
Okay, Tessa is wearing an infinity necklace from the beginning. Like, she gets to college and you're like, oh, interesting, that's a little gold infinity symbol. Okay, I wonder what that means. Right? And then her roommate, whose name I can't even remember, never even logged, you're like, is she wearing an 8 necklace? No, it also looks like an infinity symbol. What's going on?
And I want to point out that the orientation of the infinity symbol, Tessa's is the, traditional orientation of infinity. The roommate's is perpendicular. So maybe that's something like the upside down cross being satanic or whatever.
Yeah.
We cracked the code.
Good
we
call.
cracked it.
Is anybody else onto this necklace thing? And send us your essays, if so, because
send us your theses.
I started
your TED
screaming
Talks.
about this as we went. And like, I'm just waiting for the reveal of Hardin's infinity symbol tattoo.
If something is infinite, there is no after it.
There's no
because
after.
It's infinite.
Like, my brain exploding.
Mind. Galaxy brain shit right here. That's why people watch this channel. Have you ever been to a party?
Right. We are not party people here. Like, we're not partiers. But at a college party, when you're playing something like Truth or Dare, even talking about things that are like, quote unquote, more mature, you wouldn't start Truth or Dare by saying, truth, what's the craziest place you ever had sex? And then dare, make out with Hardin.
Let's place it in the bottle and then fuck.
Very cool. You want a drink?
I don't really drink.
Come on, we're all drinking. Have a drink. Do it. Come on.
Oh my God, Steph, where'd you find this girl?
No one's talking to you.
Those other like students are being portrayed as like, they vape, they fuck, like they have parties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was there. They were at 2 different parties in that one scene. It was very confusing.
And then there's this entire like massive frat house. I mean, I don't think it's a fraternity. I think it's just an off-campus house. But it's like this massive frat style house, right? All these rooms. For some reason, there's like 2 dudes playing a full game of beer pong just out in the yard by themselves.
I want to point out, after we see the beer pong game, we have what I will argue is our favorite shot of the entire 30 minutes that we watched.
Oh my God.
Which is cut to Hardin squatting like a gargoyle on the roof.
Just like staring at haven't seen anyone like zero in on that scene in their commentary, and so it also took us by surprise that like that exists. He's such a freak. Like
I won't get a bird's eye view of the party, innit?
that was really good. But he was just like watching her. Like that's so creepy, Tessa. Hardin wishes he was Joe Goldberg. Okay, like
Goals. Hashtag goals.
I mean, so and like those were not two totally distinct sections. If we think about the infinity symbol and the meaning of that, and we think about things like an awakening through the lake, a water scene with an older man who is guiding you, maybe into a new stage of yourself, of your sexual self.
We need to talk about the actual act of him guiding her, because the visual of him lowering her into that lake.
Like you do with a baby. I was like a baby.
His bath time just
It is exactly like watching a father lift a small child into the bathtub. Like that's exactly, and like it's not like he let go when she was at the water. He was like in under the elbows all the way down. And
she needed some training wheels.
well, I mean, add to the fact that she was wearing his t-shirt and it all gets like very weird.
It was
Like she stripped off her virginal vestments to put on his black sweaty t-shirt and then get into this like water baptism with him.
sinful, baptized into the world of sin and lust.
Just to jump right to, because I was about to talk about Dexter, we just have to jump to like the scene that finally broke us. We thought we were going to stop when we got bored, but no, we pushed through the boredom and we got to the disgust and the horror.
We found it. We made our way to the center of the horror Tootsie Pop. It didn't take many licks.
This lake scene. I feel like I could do a whole video essay about this lake scene now and about how there's no appropriate setup for it. He's just like, hey, you seem to be in with my friends. We're going to run into each other. And she's like, yeah, let's keep our distance. And then he's like, I want to show you a place. And then they're driving like a far distance to the middle of nowhere. Literally, like the zoom out is supposed to be like, oh my God, what beautiful like countryside. And you're like, how far are we going? Where is civilization?
And throughout this, you never see even a shred of terror on her face. But to be fair,
You don't see anything.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible the directors were like, now you're a little apprehensive. And she was like, okay, got it.
Right? It's
nothing.
It's very
Blank.
much the Jamie Lynn school of acting in this movie, where it's like, we haven't even graduated to Joey's smell the fart acting. That would be an improvement. That's a Friends reference for
that's
everybody.
next year.
I don't think he kills her in the lake. As much as I want the movie to go that direction, and then like it's a manhunt for Hardin through the swamps of like wherever the fuck they are, I honestly can't tell.
He could be building a relationship and building trust so that she doesn't think the lake is a dangerous place, and then bam.
Also, I mean, we know this about killers. Who do they look for? People who are on their own. People who are vulnerable. People who don't have visible support networks. What's Tessa? All alone and vulnerable to this older man who just wants to like show her something special. Ugh! Ah!
I wish that we could recreate the facial expressions that we had during this movie, because I think 90% of it was just recoiling in terror
so
and disgust.
And then like when they're in the, I mean, terror, disgust, and a certain like strange blandness.
Yeah, it's like we were horrified but also bored at the same time, which I
Yes.
guess we can give the movie that. That's a unique sensation
That
that
is
I don't
unique.
know.
I mean, very few movies are aiming for that these days. Like that's because it was so weird how they're in the lake and they just like stare at each other and circle each other, but they're not like flirting or smiling or like almost touching each other or like, you know, pushing water at each other or like having fun in those ways where you're like, oh my God, they're gonna kiss. No, there was no build up. They're just like staring at each other, trying not to drown.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
not hot.
was not hot at all. And then he does something that is very much giving, and now I haven't seen this series, but I've seen this clip many times. It's giving Jughead from Riverdale going like, I'm so weird, I'm a weirdo. Because Hardin goes, oh, I like the quiet sometimes. Do you think I'm weird?
Oh,
And
no,
it's
he
like,
goes,
yeah,
he doesn't even ask. He goes, I bet you think that's weird.
I'm weird. I'm a weirdo.
Silence. It's peaceful. You think that's weird?
yeah, some people maybe like not being inundated with noise all the time. You fucking weirdo. That's normal.
This is what he's choosing to share about himself in this like special intimate moment.
Sometimes I eat dinner while I'm watching TV. you must think I'm really weird.
Your accent is so good that I don't even want to attempt mine because mine is like I know how bad it is. Like,
Well, you know what? Even your attempt is probably weirdly better than his because even though he's allegedly an
He's
actual British
British.
person, he doesn't sound like it sounds fake.
he's British. That's
Oh,
why
Violet, I'm so tired. I feel like that movie took so much energy away from my tank that
it's because when you're trying to analyze a movie, you're like really paying attention, right? And you're like concentrating and you're giving it your full focus. And we didn't even look at our phones once. And like we rewound a couple times to be like, wait, what did they say? Not that it mattered. Not that anything mattered. Oh wait, they get out of the lake. That was the only funny moment where they're like, how did they get out of the lake? Because he had to baby girl her in. So like
baby girl. Oh no, that's a 365 reference.
Are you lost, baby girl?
Okay, hold on. How are you doing, baby girl? I can't do it. I can't. I literally can't in my head figure out how to do it.
It was a solid effort.
How are you doing, baby girl?
Hey, how you doing, baby girl?
I was trying to make it British, but like I don't know what British people sound like.
But yes, how did they get out of the lake? That's the mystery.
I really want that scene from the bloopers where they're just like heaving themselves up on the side of the pier, like
awkwardly flopping,
just like
when like that New Girl scene when Schmidt is trying to have sex with his girlfriend for the first time, and Nick is trying to push him up, but there's too much lube.
Yes, like he was like, Tessa, grab the top, and she's like, Hardin, I don't know what you're doing. Stop touching my butt. And he's like, Tessa, I can't get out of my.
Oh,
and that's the movie we want to see.
We could also recut it as a comedy potentially. We got the horror. We could horror comedy
after and anything we want, because we can put any emotion and atmosphere over it we want, because unlike something like Twilight, which even when you watch it you're like, oh, that's Twilight, like it doesn't have that strong visual language.
It's a blank canvas, baby. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, let's talk about predictions. I know that we are let's talk about murder.
He just like ripped out her jugular. Why? I just need some murder. That's what this movie needs. Fuck wit. I don't need wit. I need murder.
Again, shout out Dylan is in trouble. I think we talk about murder almost as much.
He's had a terrible influence on us because we're like, but what if murder?
That's
spice this up a little bit.
My God, maybe that's why we're going to the extreme, because there is just no meat on these bones. So, okay. I think that's our comedic prediction, is that he murders her and cuts up her body and throws it into the lake.
And then it's like a Dexter style manhunt where like they're trying to figure out who's the co-ed killer.
I think this is starting to become the theme of our channel, is that we watch sort of milquetoast things and then we try to spice them up by like introducing murder mystery and stuff. But it's not what's really happening, but we can think about it. We can have this little brainstorming exercise and see where it goes.
It's funny because I'm going to make you watch Pretty Little Liars and maybe Vampire Diaries, and you're going to be like, what if they get murdered? And then they will, and you're going to be like, oh no. Oh no.
So yeah, so the vibes of this aren't giving murder.
I mean, very real prediction that I had watching this movie. I was like, the scene in the coffee shop where he's like, okay, see you around, and she's like, yeah, let's keep our distance. To me, that was the end of the Hardin story in this movie. And after that scene, she would go meet the guy she's gonna fall in love with after this interaction with Hardin. That's like what I feel like should happen after this.
Yeah, so he should be the catalyst of her
finding someone good.
Yeah, realizing what unhealthy relationships where the man doesn't respect your boundaries look like, and then go finding a healthy relationship. Yeah, I like that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I like it.
Also, a theme in these already is when you say to me, I like your optimism, but...
I see you. I acknowledge this.
I'm not just saying that out of nowhere. That could have flowed with the movie. Like,
yeah,
she finds
it
the
could
new guy.
have.
The new guy helps her get a new roommate that like fits her better. He introduces her to people. She starts to meet more friends who are like more her vibe, and then like, oh my God, things go well. Yeah, and, like that's a love story. That's great. That's a romance. How cute.
Well, so maybe we should start with the shorter term predictions, because again, we're not watching movies 2 and 3. We're going to go ahead and jump after this to after this. We're going to jump to the end of end of movie 4. Yes. So at some point over the course of the next 3 movies, they're going to fuck, right? Like that's going to happen. That's clear.
I would be shocked if they don't fuck immediately after this weird stomach touching scene on the pier. That seems clear, you know what? Prelude, right?
That, I know we're talking about predictions, but I think that specific shot is what broke us mentally and made us exit.
It's like the belly button, and then it cuts to her, and here's what broke me. She does not look turned on.
No. Our running theory is that she has been living in an incubator for the first 18 years of her life due to some rare disease, and is now for the first time experiencing the world with all of the doe-eyed optimism that one would have. That's why she's so naive,
but also that's why she's out of sync with the rest of the world, and she like doesn't have a bunch of friends already, or like even acquaintances at this college. She doesn't know anybody. So yeah, I think it's like oh my God, what's so funny is there's another movie. It's a YA love story that's like Everything Everywhere. Is that what it's called?
I don't think I've heard of this.
And it's about a girl with like a terminal illness in like a bubble and a boy who's in love with her from the outside. Anyway, we're going to watch that next. Anyway, I'm saying maybe that is the prequel movie to After. Everything.
After Everything is the name of the 5th movie that's coming out. Next level. We are on another level with our predictions. Just call us Roger and Ebert. Roger and Ebert? Siskel and Ebert? We should probably start looking things up. There's people screaming at their televisions or their phones right now. Like,
call us whatever you want.
Except within reason. Be nice in the comments, please.
Oh, I thought you were going to make that really old bad joke. That's like, call me whatever you want, but don't call me late for dinner.
Don't call me Shirley. I think it's a testament to the humor I've shown in our videos so far that you said, "Oh, I thought you were going to make that really bad old joke." Like, yeah, that tracks.